Hello, this is Shadero, and today's tutorial is on the Moon Star Bracelet. This bracelet was designed by Loomingroach. You can find her lovely profile on Instagram, which is linked below. So please go check her out and give her a follow because she has some really great bracelets, and I believe also has a YouTube channel as well. Which again is just Loomingroach. So check her out. So this bracelet today, like I mentioned, is called the Moon Star. So you can put beads on the outside. There are 2 stars in the middle of each of these moon-shaped circles. And then up the center there is a single chain, and you can add a charm or bead to the center as well. So there's many options if you plan on beading, and this bracelet looks absolutely gorgeous without any beads. So totally not even necessary to bling it. You can also have it plain. The way that this bracelet is looped, your single chain comes out on top. So when you're making this bracelet, you are making it like this. So when you're looming everything, when you go to pull it off your loom, what you're seeing on the top of your loom is the back. So when you're placing these charms, you got to make sure that you're placing them face down if you only have a design on one side of them. Also, because that this single chain runs across the top, I chose to put these flat charms on here, but I did make a little short variation here. This one I have just like these pearl beads, and you can see that they will, they're above the bracelet. So you might want to keep that in mind when you go to choose what type of bead or charm that you want to place on the top. So the side ones here, I put on every band, and this is the first time I've ever used seed beads, and this one is done on one loom. So one loom will give you 4 moon stars. 2 looms I believe might be a little long. My suggestion would be to try to do 6. And this is 4 off one loom, and it fits the majority of my bracelet. So I have just a tiny chain on the bottom. So let's grab our supplies and get started. This is the setup you will need your loom in. So it's a 5 pin bar setup that is staggered. So the first, 3rd, and 5th are all at the same height, and the 2nd and 4th are at the same height. Again, I'm just going to be using one loom, and you can choose to use 2. So what I'm going to use today is for my border, excuse me, I'm going to use metallic silver, and I don't believe, excuse me, I'm sorry, I don't believe I've used seed beads yet on any bracelet. I'm not sure, but I am going to outline this bracelet with these pearl seed beads. If you want to do the same, which is just the brown bands on this bracelet, every one of the bands that are in the circle pattern, those will be these bands here with these seed beads. If you're interested in doing the same, the beads that I'm using are from Bead Treasures, which you can find at plenty of craft stores, Hobby Lobby, AC Moore, Michaels, and these are glass beads, and it does show 6/0 seed bead. So they come in a little container like this, priced at $2.99. So there are a whole bunch in there. Okay, and I'm going to actually split up my colors of my stars. I'm going to do half of a star on the outside. I'm going to use these medieval blue bands, Rainbow Loom. And then the inner part of the star, oops, which will be right here, I'm going to use glitter white from Rainbow Loom. Excuse me. And for my charm or bead through the center, I'm going to use these flat charms, and that way, just for my preference, it will kind of lay a little bit flat on the bracelet. So, excuse me, go ahead and grab your supplies. You'll need to have, like I said, for one loom, if you want to do the outer parts of your circles with the seed beads, you will need 40, and you will need 4 charms to go into in the center. If you're using 2 looms, it will take 8. So we'll need our hook, what I had shown you, plus your C-clip. So we'll go ahead and get started. First is placing our border bands, which if you need to know how to thread a bead onto your band, I have plenty of tutorials. Check my earlier ones that I do explain how to add the beads onto the bands. This one I'm not going to bead any, but you want to make sure that your bead is in the center of your band. So when you place it on your loom, you're going to place the one end on the first peg as you normally would, and then the other end on the next peg. Same process as adding just a regular band, but you kind of want to always make sure that your bead lies in between those 2 pegs. So we're going to go ahead and put this border on. So it is, excuse me, so I'm going from this center peg, and we're going 2 out to the left, and then we're going to go 1 up, and 2 in. So I just did my left side first, and you end up at the same peg, or in the same row that you started in. And then I'm going to come back to the first peg and do the exact same pattern on the right side. So it is 2 over, one up, and then 2 over to the center, which meets your band that you placed before. So this is what your configuration should be. We're going to repeat that up our loom, starting with the peg that we just left off of. We're going to take our bands and go 2 over, 1 up, and 2 back to the center, and come back down, and we're going to start in the same place, same peg that we started going to the left. We're going to start there and go to the right, over 2, up 1, and then back over 2 to meet in the center. over 2, up 1, and then 2 meeting in the center. Come back down and do the same for the right side. Okay, so this is what your loom should look like to this point. So we have 1, 2, and then 3. So we have 1 more to do. I'm going to turn my loom to the side here. Okay, so you start in that center peg, go out to the left, two times, go up once, and in 2 times, go back to the center and repeat. And our last one, just like that. Okay, so now that we have our perimeter on, we can start with our stars. So this one is laid pretty much very similar to the Hearts for Hope bracelet that I did the tutorial on by Looms for Kaylee. But as you can see, this border is different. It's in a circle shape, and the Hearts for Hope bracelet, the border was in a heart shape. So if you've done that bracelet, then you will know how to lay the bands. But before we do that, we are going to lay our center bands that are going to go all the way up the middle with our charms. So we want to have our charms or beads in the middle of our circle. So the first band that we're going to lay is going to be just a plain band going up 1, and then we're going to put our charm band or bead band next and push that down. So if you have a charm that is only one-sided, you would want to put it face down, because when we take this bracelet off, the bead will be on the side. How we take this bracelet off is the side that's facing down will be the front of your bracelet. So if you have a charm and you put the face of it right here back up at you, when you take it off the loom, you'll see the back side of it. So make sure you turn your charm around if you use one that's one-sided. Okay, then we're going to add one plain band and then another plain band. Then we add our second charm band. And as long as it's hitting the middle of your circle, then you know that it's in the correct place. That's what we're shooting for. And then we're going to put another plain band, and the plain band, and then another charm or beaded band. So my charm or beaded band is, I prefer a lot of times to do them in clear, so that way you can't see the bands sometimes they get, when you're looping them in the design, you can see the band going through the bead. And with these, I'm trying to hide that. So with the glitter white background, I think I'll be pretty good. It's a little bit turned, but that's okay. So make sure that all of those bands are pressed down, and then we're going to add our last band, which brings us to the top peg. Okay, so this is what your loom should look like. So your beads or charms are in the middle of each one of your circles. Okay, now we're going to add our little stars on both sides. So, excuse me, we're going to lay this just as you would a typical starburst. So I'm going to start in, I think of it as this line right here with our bands. This is one side and that's another. So when we do a clockwise is pretty much how I choose to lay the bands, going in a clockwise position, and then when I pull my bands up, I know pretty much what order they're going to be in. So I wanted to use two different colors for my starburst. So in that case, for the first three that I lay, I'm using one color. And then I'm going to grab my second color and continue, and that way the inside of the starburst will be glitter white. I think I'm going to go back to the blue. Okay, and so our next band that we need to place will be from this peg right here, which is right above your bead, over to the right side, like that. And then we're going to go over to the left side and do the same thing, but we're placing our bands in from the inside out. So where you laid this band right here, you're going to bring your first band, you're going to place your first band there, so it's kind of going all the way down. And then we're going to loom in the clockwise position, but because we changed sides, you know, it's the same, but you're going on the inside this time. Oops, I'm sorry, this one I want to be a different color. So I'm going to put my blue, like that. And then to close it off, we place another band going from the center out. So that is our first moon star. That's what yours should kind of look like, minus or plus the beads or whatnot. So that's the pattern that we'll use going the whole way up. So we go ahead and start with our next one, going from the middle out, always starting from the same peg. So those three, one color. Excuse me. And the insides I have is another color. Go back to the outside color, and then place our band going to the center. So same thing from this side, but we start with our center first and come down. Go, oops, I'm sorry. This one is the blue. And then place our final band going like that. Okay, so we continue this. I'm just gonna go a little bit faster. Excuse me. I believe I am getting my first winter cold, so my apologies. Okay, so if you're using one loom, this will be the last set of moon stars. All right, so our last band will go back up to the center peg, just like that. So this is what your loom should look like. And if you are using two looms, continue, and then you can come back. But just to get this tutorial out to you guys, I am just going to do one loom. So I am ready to turn it around. And we need to add cap bands. Okay, so everywhere we put a starburst, we're going to put a cap band on those center pegs. So I'm going to use the inside color to form my cap band. So you're just going to wrap it around 2 times. Basic cap band. Push it down and then go up to your second moon star and into 2 center pegs. Add your cap bands. And your third. And then your fourth. Okay, so that'll take care of all of the cap bands for the bracelet. And then we just need to add our cap band down below. So for that, again, because I'm leaving, you know, my inside color is a different color, that's the color that I want to use down here to match. Okay, so we are ready to loop our bands. So we're going to go ahead and start into the starburst on the right of our first moon star. So underneath the cap band, grab the top band, ensuring that you kind of keep a hold on your cap band, it doesn't slip off. And that band for me comes down here. It may be different for you. If you laid your bands how I did, your looping should be in the same order. which is in a counterclockwise position, and you're just going to loop all of these out. So there is your star. We're going to come to the left side, do the exact same thing. Mine just got a tad bit, that one just a tad out of order, but see, that is okay. Actually, no, it's, I don't know. They're still going around, but it technically doesn't matter what order you place these in because they're not looped all over any other band. To me, it's just, I've always started like that. I think Crafting Fantastic, I think she's the first one I ever, like the designs, her designs were always like that, and she always did them in that order. Okay, so that is our first one done. Just 2 circles on either side. So we still have our border bands underneath, and we still have our single chain. So we go into our second moon star and do the same underneath the cap band and loop the first band back to itself, and every band that you're grabbing is going to be the top band. Like so. And then I'm going to come in here into where I just placed this band back to, and I'm going to grab this band and bring it down like so. Then I'm going to go into the left starburst and loop all the bands. That one's always tricky. Excuse me. Okay, we've got our second one. I'm going to go into this band again, into this peg, and I'm going to grab the band to take this down to there, like that. Okay, up to the third one. Like so, grabbing this band and bringing it down to here, and going into our next starburst and looping that out. Coming back into here and grabbing the other side. And looping this one out as well. Okay, going up to our last. I'm sorry, my hand's probably shadowing the light. Okay, so we got that one done. And again, if you're using 2 looms, you can go ahead and continue and come back. So this is what you should have. So our next step will be to loop up the center chain. So you might want to push down your bands in the middle. So we're going to go underneath this cap band and grab the first band, should be your center chain. And this is just the basic looping, just making sure that you are grabbing the correct band. So on the second peg here, it's going to be the very bottom band. On this next peg, very bottom band. Now on the next one, it's going to be the top band because underneath we have our border. So next is very bottom. Bottom, top. Whoops, see? I almost grabbed the wrong one. This one is the top. It's like, you know, this is a pretty similar pattern, and it's either you're grabbing your single chain in the beginning of the bracelet or the end. Sometimes on the bottom, sometimes it's not. Okay, so basic single chain, looped up the center. So our last step is to just do our border. So go into this peg here and grab the top band, which is to the left. And so we're going to loom the whole left side of the Moon Star first. Making sure our bands are pressed down. So we're going to do that to the center peg. And then we're going to come back down, start over again to complete the right side. Okay, so that's your first one complete. Go into our second one and loop up the whichever band's on top. In my case, it is the left. If you should happen to have the right band on top, you would loom up the right side first. As long as you're making teardrop shapes, you're grabbing the right band. Back down to the center. Okay, that's our second. There we go. And then our last one, if we're using one loom, I might have grabbed the wrong band, or I started out on the other side. let me round this out to get all my bands into the right place. And I believe I grabbed the wrong band. Yep. So that one goes back out to the left. There's a lot of tension on these bands where the starbursts are. So be careful there. And there's your last. So if you take your loom to the side and you look down, you can see through, then you know you've picked up every band. So you should be good to go. So we're going to take a band, which in my case, I have the glitter white. And I'm going to stick our hook down inside this last peg here, grabbing all the bands, and then placing band on that hook, bringing it up through the center, like that, putting it back on our hook. Then you can carefully take it off your loom. This is the places where I would be careful because it's only kept together right there. But it's pretty secure design where it's not too delicate to pull off, but you do want to make sure that it maintains its shape, so pulling on it too rough could kind of make your bands look a little different. Or you could be a scaredy cat like me. And there we go. Excuse me. And voila! Wow. I like. This is very pretty. Wow. I'm impressed. And by that I mean with my colors. I've already known this was going to be a great design. So this is what yours should look like depending on if you've added beads or charms or anything, but the basic looping. So my goal on my color scheme was I wanted it to kind of be darker on the edges and lighter up in the middle, but you should have all of your beads on the outside bands, and you can take your bead and kind of pull up on it, and if it's not quite where you want it to be, you can gently pull it, so that way it will be in the center. Because some of these, they kind of, even though we had them in the center when we placed them, we still might just have to adjust it just a little bit. So I just adjusted that whole first one here. Like this one's like totally hidden down there. There we go. So if you do that, and then all of your beads should, you know, form a circle going around your moon star. Like that. Okay, and then the other is you have your starburst, or on the sides there. And then if you used another color for the center, it kind of separates it a bit. So you see how that band comes up right there? That's why I choose to use the clear bands. So hopefully I can there you go. Maybe just a tad more. I've broken bands before, so I wanted to be careful. So as you can see, I used the clear band, and you cannot see the band going through the charm. So I like that. So that's all you have to do as far as just adjusting if you put the beads on the outside, which you may not have to do any adjusting, you know. Just kind of pulling some of them out because they're hidden, and then kind of fluffing your burst. And normal closure, as you can see here, with one loom you're getting about it's a good, I maybe would do, could probably just get away with maybe three more of your moon stars. I'm not quite sure. Depends on your wrist size. So in my case, I'm just going to add a simple extension, which I have kind of, I guess, small wrists. I won't need a big one. Stop there. A couple more. Here we go. Grab your C-clip. Oops. Attach that. And then to the other side. And voila, we have our Moon Star bracelet. I hope that you enjoyed making it as much as I did, and I hope you are happy with your final outcome. So again, this is the Moon Star bracelet designed by Loomingroach. You can find her on Instagram, and the link for her fabulous account is below. Please do check her out and give her a follow. She is an excellent loomer. And if you did enjoy making this bracelet, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to follow so you can be a part of some more designs coming in the future. So again, thanks. Bye.